Laura and I have been in the zoo business for well over 60 years between us. And one of the questions we get asked quite a bit is how do I get started in the zoo business? How do I become a zookeeper? And that's what we're going to take a look at today. Stay with us. So before we even get started, let's talk about what this job is. And I'll tell you the first thing about this job, hard work. No matter what the weather conditions are outside, you're going to be working in it. If it's 120 degrees outside, guess what? You're going to be outside working. If it's 5 degrees below zero, guess what? You're going to be out there working. It doesn't matter what the weather is. These animals still have to eat. They still have to be cared for. So be prepared that you're going to be working in some pretty brutal climates now and again. You're going to be bending. You're going to be stooping. You're going to be climbing. You're going to be lifting some pretty heavy stuff all day long. So if you're not all about hard work, then zoo life may not be for you. But if you are, then let's roll with it and let's see what we can do to get you started. Okay, so let me tell you what the job is not. Now, the job is not cuddling animals and playing with animals all day long. That is certainly not the job. In some zoo situations, in some departments, you may have no contact with those animals at all. We're talking big carnivores like bears and lions and tigers and these types of things, venomous snakes, where you're not going to have a lot, if any, contact at all with some of these animals. So don't think it's going to be cute and cuddly and I get to play with animals all day long, because that's certainly not what the job is all about. You're going to be around animals and you're going to get to work with the animals, and you're going to get to learn about these animals, and you're going to get a one-on-one personalization with each one of these animals. But it's not about cuddling with animals. It's about doing the job. So what are you going to be doing all day when you're a zookeeper? Well, primarily your job is going to be taking care of the animals. You're going to be providing a safe environment for these animals. You're going to be providing them with nutrition, and that means that you're going to be making diets and delivering diets. You're going to be naturally cleaning after the animals and keeping an aesthetic environment for those animals. You're going to be doing a lot of record keeping. You're going to be doing a lot of following direction. You're going to have to learn to follow direction, because that's very important at a zoo. There are a lot of protocols. There are a lot of policies in place. So make sure you know how to follow direction and follow it well. But every day is going to be a little bit different, but you are going to be doing a little bit of a redundancy every day of some of these tasks, not all of them, but some of these tasks. And that's okay, because that is a learning experience. The more you do it, the more you learn how to do it, and you're going to carry that all through your career. So one of the things I hear a lot is, man, you know what? I work with animals because I don't like people. Got some bad news for you. You're going to be working with people. You're going to be working with a lot of people. Working with animals, conservation, the zoo field is all about working with people just as much as it is about working with animals. You're going to have to be able to get along with your coworkers. You're going to have to be able to talk and engage the public and teach them about the animals and teach them about what your job is. You're going to be in meetings. You're going to be talking to zookeepers around the country. You're going to be working with scientists around the world. You are going to need to be able to work with people. So get that out of your head right now, that whole I don't like people thing. It's coming. All right, Doug, you're not making this sound very appealing, but let me give you the upside of this. The zookeeping industry can be very, very rewarding. Every day you're going to be working with some of the coolest animals on the face of this planet. Native animals, exotic animals, all kinds of cool stuff. You're going to be learning something new every day. You're going to be working around people that share your love for animals, and you can be learning from them. You're going to be sharing your passion and what you've learned with the general audience, with the general public, and they're going to be learning something. So it's an opportunity to keep going and keep that love of passion of your animals on the upswing for the rest of your career. Now, in a lot of different zoos, you can get into things like research programs and field trips, and you're going to be going to conferences, you're going to be learning from other zookeepers, and you're going to be learning about the industry. If you want to move up the ladder, then learn about what that entails. Learn about what a curator does. Learn about what a zoo director does. You're going to need skills like marketing. You're going to need skills like fundraising. And again, you're going to be working with people. The higher up the ladder you go, the less you work with animals and the more you work with people. So keep that in mind. But it does give you an opportunity to work with the entire whole picture. And again, it could be a very rewarding career. So don't let a little bit of hard work scare you off. Okay, let's talk about education. Now, with most zoos nowadays, it's going to require a bachelor's degree just to get your foot in the door. Now, not every zoo is like that, but most zoos are going to ask for a bachelor's degree in one of the sciences: biology, zoology, animal sciences proper, something in that respect. Now, not every zoo does require that, but I guarantee if they do not require it, you may still want to have that because you're going to be in competition with a lot of people who do have that degree. So it'd be a good idea to stick with college, work your way through it, and get yourself a bachelor's degree in one of the animal sciences. Okay, outside of a bachelor's degree, there are some programs that offer a 2 year associate's degree directly in zookeeping. Now, Santa Fe, Moore Park, there's a couple of other facilities out there. Check your AZA website for a listing of all of these other schools that offer an associate's degree directly towards zookeeping, and that is perfectly applicable as well. Okay, let's say that you've got a degree, but it's not in one of the animal sciences, and you still want to work at the zoo, you still want to be a zookeeper, you still want to do that job. Don't despair, because you may be able to take that degree and apply that somehow to working with animals. If it's a psychology degree, you may want to apply that towards animal behavior. If it's a literary degree in English or something like that, scientific writing, something that you can apply and work that towards the animal field. So don't despair if you don't have a degree in one of the animal sciences, but it's a good idea to have a degree in general. Okay, Doug, here's the deal. Now, I don't have a college degree. I wasn't able to finish college. I wasn't able to go to college. But what I do have is a lot of experience. Does this mean that I'm not going to be able to work at a zoo? Not necessarily. Now, there are some zoos that it is set in stone that you're going to have a bachelor's degree. These are usually your government zoos, the ones that are run by a city and such. But there are a lot of zoos out there. If you really carefully check out the job description, it will say or equivalent experience. Now, if you think your equivalent experience is going to be what they need, by all means apply for that job. What you're really going to have to show is that your experience level is exactly what they're going to need to fill that job description. And it's going to have to show through in your resume and your cover letter, and especially if you get that phone call and get an interview, you're really going to have to sell yourself. Now, over the years, I've hired many, many people without a college degree, and they've gone on to be some of the most respected people in the zoo business. So just because you have a lack of degree doesn't mean that you can't take the experience that you have and sell yourself to that hiring manager and get the job. Okay, let's talk about experience for just a moment. Now, most zoos are going to want about a year's worth of experience just to get your foot in the door. And I know what you're saying, Doug. I've never worked at a zoo. How can I have a year's worth of experience if I've never worked there? Well, you don't necessarily have to work at a zoo for that experience. Just about any place that works with animals will help you get that experience. And I'm talking about a veterinary clinic, nature centers, animal rehabilitation places, your local shelters, pet shops, just about any place that works with animals can help you to get that experience that they are looking for. Now, another great way is volunteering and internships. Now, if you can volunteer or get an internship at your local zoo or local aquarium, that is a great, great way, because that allows them to get to know you and get to know your work ethic. And that tells them that you already know what the job is about before you've even applied. I can't tell you how many volunteers or how many interns that I've hired over the years from not just my own zoo, but other zoos around the country that have come highly recommended. So if you can get your foot in the door doing an internship or volunteering, I highly recommend it. It gives you an idea of what the job is. It gives you an idea of the people that you're going to be working with, and it gives this zoo an idea of what you're all about, and it definitely is going to help you in the long run when you apply for that job. Okay, so you found the job you like and you want to apply for it. I highly recommend going to one of the many websites out there on the internet and learning how to put together a good cover letter and a good resume. What to leave in, what to leave out, how to build upon your strengths, how to kind of push down some of the weaknesses that you might have, and put this all together in a big format that's going to be really appealing to just about any manager out there. And then apply for that position. And you know what? If you don't get it, that's okay. There's a lot of competition out there. Back in my zoo days, I used to get 100 at least 100 resumes for each job position that I had open. So there is a lot of competition out there, but I urge you to keep on trying and keep on trying. And when things look desolate and it doesn't look like you're ever going to make it, try some more. Because eventually you are going to get your foot in the door. And you know what? The more you keep putting a resume in, the more that hiring manager is going to see your name. And eventually they're going to take a look and they're going to, you know what? I want to know what this person is all about. And you're going to get called in for that interview. So don't give up, because it is highly competitive. But if it's something that you want to do, push ahead, keep going, and learn from every mistake that you make and build upon that for the next time that you apply, and never give up. Okay, now I'm not going to tell you what to put in your resume, but what I do suggest that you do is take a look at what the job requirements are and build and tailor your cover letter and your resume to the requirements that they're asking for. And here's a couple of things I suggest that don't do. In your cover letter, don't put in there that I love animals. Of course you love animals. You wouldn't want to work at a zoo if you didn't like animals, but everybody puts that in there. And I tell you what, it's kind of a turn off when people see it, because they think maybe you're not taking the job seriously when you start your cover letter with something like that. We know you love animals. That's why you applied at the zoo. Now, one thing I strongly suggest that you don't do on your resume, and that is lie on your resume. Tell them that you know something or you've done something that you haven't done, because sooner or later that's going to catch up with you. It may be in the job interview. It may be in your first telephone call that you have with them. But guarantee if you put in there something that I can do this, I'm proficient at that, you might get called on it. And if you can't perform, they're not going to want to talk to you anymore. Now, let's say you do get that phone call. You want to prepare yourself for that interview. You want to learn all you can, not only about the zoo, because one thing they're going to do is ask you, what do you know about our zoo? What do you know about our department? So learn everything you can. Go on the internet and study and study and study. Also go on the internet and learn about how to answer some of these questions that are going to be typical of just about any job review. And that is going to be, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? These type of things. Practice, practice, practice. Get in front of the mirror, get in front of somebody else, and learn to be very fluid and have an answer ready for when they do ask you these questions. And number one, be professional. You want to be professional at all times. If you've got something on your Facebook, you've got something on the internet, go and erase it, clean it up, because the first thing they're going to do when they think about hiring you for a job is they're going to go and look at these things, and they're going to want to know that you're a very serious and a very professional person, because that's what they need for their zoo. If you do get that phone call and you are talking to them personally, I strongly advise, don't be egotistical. Don't be cocky. Don't try to tell them how to do their job. Don't tell them how you could do the job better. That's not what they want to hear. They want to hear that you can follow direction, that you can learn to do the job their way. So don't be cocky. You want to emphasize different traits that I'm a fast learner. I follow direction well. I've got good observation skills. These are the things that they want to hear. They don't want to hear about how you're better than them or how you did this or how you did that. They don't want to hear that. They want to know that you can do the job that they are hiring you to do. Okay, bit of advice here. Let's say that there is a zoo job opening, but it may not be exactly what you want. Let's say you're a bird person and it's a mammal position that's open, or you're a reptile person and it's a bird position that's open. That's okay. Get yourself in the door. Be willing and be open to learn about all of these different things, because if you plan to progress up the ladder and you want to become a curator, you want to become a general curator, you want to become a zoo director one day, it's good to know about what goes on and how they work with all the different various animals all throughout the zoo. Now, it's no big secret that I like my reptiles, but my first official zoo job back in the late 1980s was actually a penguin keeper. And that's okay. Now I know all about penguins. And from that penguin keeper job, I progressed into different birds. I progressed into different aquarium situations. And finally, I started working with the reptiles that I so truly loved. But I had that experience about working with a little bit of everything. And when it came time for me to become a general curator, and a general curator oversees all of the departments, I was a shoo-in because I knew a little bit about working with all of the animals at the zoo. So don't be afraid. If that job isn't particularly the one you want, don't be afraid to apply for it and get your foot in the door, because it's the right thing to do. And those jobs are few and far between, so go with it. Okay, now I said I had a very important message for everybody at the end. Now, let's say you didn't get through the first part. You heard about this hard work. You're going to be working outside in all these weather conditions, and you're going to be lifting, you're going to be stooping, and maybe that's not quite for you. Or let's say you have a degree that you don't think is going to apply to the zoo business. That doesn't mean you can't work at a zoo. The zoo is a very complex organism. It takes a lot of different people doing a lot of different things to keep a zoo running every day. It's not just the animal care people. There are administration people, there are groundskeepers, there are horticulturists, there are a variety of people working at a zoo. There might be a place for you that may not be in animal care, but it may be working in administration. You may be working in human resources or applying some of your skills to marketing. It takes everybody every day to work hard to keep a zoo running. Now, let me just tell you a little bit of a story. One day I was walking through my reptile building and I walked past one of the housekeepers out there and he was emptying the trash cans. And I went up to him and I said, "Hey, man, how many rhinoceros did you help save today?" And he just kind of looked at me. He's like, "That's not my job. That's your job." I said, "You know what? It is your job. Because by doing your job, performing your job, you allow this next person to be able to do their job, which then allows that person to be able to do their job. And everybody at the zoo is dependent upon each one of us doing our job and doing it well, no matter what that job position is. So in the long run, at the end of the day, you saved just as many rhinoceros out there as I saved." Pretty cool, huh? That's the good way to look at it. Everybody and everything is important at a zoo to keep it running. So don't be discouraged if you're not going to be an animal keeper. There are many jobs at the zoo that you can excel in and keep that place going. Trust me. All right, so we know it's going to be a lot of hard work and it's going to be a lot of determination. You're going to have some specialized training to get a job at the zoo, whether that's through a university degree or whether that's through experience working somewhere else. It's going to take a little bit. So you've got to persevere. You've got to really want that job. Keep applying because one day it could definitely happen for you. As we pointed out, you don't necessarily have to work in the animal care field to be a part of that dynamic institution that is the zoo, to make a difference on this planet, to be part of that whole conservation program. You can work in any of the different departments at a zoo, from administration to working out on the grounds. There are a lot of different things to do at the zoo. So if you want to be part of that, we urge you to go for it. Now, if you have questions and comments, please leave them in the comment section below. We will get back to you. Sometimes it takes us a little bit of time to get back to you, but please leave them below because we definitely want to help you and guide you on your way to working your dream and working at the zoo.